TAAL's transaction processing business has been the driver of its revenues and successes so far. And that's going to remain the case even as the company evolves into providing blockchain as a service platforms for its growing roster of clients. We're at TAAL's headquarters in Toronto, and we're discussing the company's plans for expanding its Bitcoin mining operations. With me is TAAL's CEO Richard Baker. Richard, what's the status of the transaction processing side of the business?
The bigger statement we've made is that we want to take the TAAL fleet to over 2 exahash by late 2023, early 2024.
Mm-hmm. And what is it currently?
So currently it's 425 petahash.
So multiple of 5 times?
Multiple of 5 times, yeah. We've partnered with a mutual property fund to help us co-build and develop the new Brunswick site.
And that's important. I mean, that means someone values what we're doing and sees a lot of potential, right?
Absolutely, yes. And I think we've really valued having that property partner come along and sit with us in this project. You know, these are capital intensive projects, and this year, you know, we've got the heavy infrastructure being purchased, so the substations and the power transformers and the distribution network. And so later this year we'll start to see that site getting physically built. It's currently in the planning phase, and we're working closely as well with the New Brunswick Power Company. So there's a line upgrade going on around that area, so we're upgrading the line from 69 kilovolts to 138 to provision us the 50 megawatts for next year.
And what's that mean for jobs for the province of New Brunswick? For those who don't know, it's a small maritime province here in Canada. Not a whole lot of industries. This would be a pretty significant employer.
Yes, yeah, we will hire locally, and so that site will be a 24/7 site. So we'll have to put shift teams in to run the mining operations, so it will run as a modern day data center. Service management operations, there's a number of good roles that we'll be hiring there. Hashing power is an interesting thing to be building out, but ultimately it operates as a compute resource. And for many that may not fully understand it, it is not the same as a compute and storage cloud service. When you're using that blockchain, there's 2 different functions. You've got the nodes, and the nodes actually do run in cloud compute environments today. And increasingly, which we'll talk a little bit about, we're going to see the Bitcoin node become a microservices architecture. So it runs in cloud computing infrastructure over time. But the hashing fleet runs in dedicated data centers, and they are permanently on, you know, algorithmic problem solvers. And so what we're gearing up for really is having a diversity of locations for where we run that hashing fleet. And so yes, we're delighted to partner with a firm in Switzerland, and we have our first few terahash up and running in Switzerland, high in the mountains. And that's part of a green initiative, actually. So that
it's an exciting green initiative. This is the K51 project.
It's the K51 project.
So the K51 is just that they're wrapping up their first project in the mountains, where they're using the heat from the TAAL mining computers to melt some snow to create some hydroelectricity.
Correct. We've been delighted to partner with K51 on that, and that's an innovative use of the offset heat. In other facilities, you know, ultimately are putting in air systems to generate airflow and dispel the heat. In this case, actually, we're doing a capture, and it's being translated into a power production capability.
And now winter's ending, spring is coming. Some of these mining computers are going to be used for a greenhouse initiative.
Yes, yeah. So so the K51 guys are truly entrepreneurial, and so they start to take some of those mining rigs out into alternative industries, into the agriculture industry, so big greenhouse growing. And so again, where you're starting to see some innovation is actually how do you harness the heat that is produced by these machines. So it's an interesting way of actually thinking about where a mining fleet runs.
And you know, when you're in New Brunswick operating there, and their provincial government has a mandate to use so much renewable energy, that's almost a validation that TAAL is.
It is, yes. And I think, Adrian, you know, whilst certainly we see most energy grid providers now really accelerating their journey towards green production, obviously we also have to capture the moment that the world has got a crisis around energy presently. And so we're going to have a period here of imbalance, I think, for a few years. And of course, the capital investment into being able to really do more solar and advanced nuclear, it does drive us to prioritize the locations that we go to and build well in those locations so that you're accessing hydro, solar, wind, And then the second step to that is then you're accessing non-emitting nuclear. It is really pleasing to see so many significant infrastructure power projects in place, but of course that's a big journey. If you look at some of the new hashing rigs coming from Bitmain, you know, and other vendors, they're all moving up towards producing more terahash for their units. So we're seeing Moore's law playing out, you know, I guess at the ASIC level, in making sure that there's more hash throughput on the machine. You're obviously seeing good advances now in immersion cooling, where you're able to clock the machine up a little bit and put it in an environment where you're able to manage the performance of that machine much better. And so it is a combination of working with the utility companies, working with the equipment manufacturers, and ultimately building a very efficient data center. It's getting that design right ultimately that helps you towards the green journey and being in an optimal place.